Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Cole's rushed to the hospital, and Kyle signs the contract. With Victor Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Today on The Young and the Restless, Amy makes a decision about her future. Damien breaks bad news to Holden. Audra helps a friend. In the park, Amy tells Audra and Nate she's more hopeful about the future, and it's all due to him. Nate tells her it's about her positive attitude, too. Amy reveals she's come to a decision about her future. Audra hopes Amy is going to move there. Amy says yes, she'll relocate to Genoa City. Audra hugs her, thrilled. Nate couldn't be happier. For her and for them, Amy wants to be close to her son and Audra tears up. Nate teases that his girlfriend is a big softie at heart. Audra marvels that Amy didn't even think she'd survive long enough to see her son again. It's a gift. Amy chokes up. She wants to spend time with her new friend and the man she considers her second son. They do a group hug. Damien asks a favor at the club. Damien tells Lily he fears he's about to lose his best friend. He's meeting Holden and has to tell him he's lost his job. Lily snarks that he should have told Dumas to do it himself. He reminds her Dumas didn't even fire him himself. Talk turns to Audra. Damien says Amy adores her. Lily asks what she can do to help where Holden is concerned. He hates to ask, but would they have a position at Winters for him? He feels responsible for Holden and wants to soften the blow. Lily feels partly responsible, too. It was her idea to have him spy on Dumas, which probably got him fired. Damien should have known better with Dumas. He notes she didn't look thrilled about the idea of hiring Holden. Lily has to think about where he'd fit in and talk to Devin and Nate. But it shouldn't be a problem to put him in the hotel. Division with Damien. He thanks her profusely. Lily wonders how Holden will feel about him being his boss. Audra told her that Holden said Damien had a temper. Damien's never had anyone in his life to balance him out or talk him down. It would be nice to have that kind of person in his life. He looks at her. Real nice. Holden erupts. Lily teases that she hopes Damien doesn't put that on his dating app. Damien hasn't been on one. He likes meeting people face to face. Lily agrees. She appreciates his honesty about his temper. He feels comfortable being open with her. Lily feels the same way. She asks why he's been single for so long. Damien chuckles. He likes that she's curious. Just then, Holden arrives. Lily leaves so they can talk. Holden sits and asks Damien if this is about work. Damien tells him Dumas fired them. Holden swears. I was right. You did throw me under the bus, didn't you? Damien protests that he fired them both. Holden thinks he took the fall for Damien's attempt to leave Dumas for Winters. Damien explains that he's hoping he can follow him to Winters. Holden grunts. No thanks. He's ditched him and their friendship for some woman he barely knows. Damien reminds him of all the times he picked him up. Holden complains that he let him do his dirty work while he got the glory. It's time for them to make a clean break. Cole's cough at the tack house. Claire and Victoria fuss over Cole, who is coughing his brains out. Victoria coaxes him to keep his fluids up. She's worried about him. Nothing is making this flu better. Cole admits this is worse than before as he coughs for an extended period. Claire and Victoria exchange a look. Victoria gets on the phone and then reports that the doctor has agreed to see Cole. He feels like he got hit by a truck. Victoria and Cole debate whether it's more than just a bug. Cole protests, but he can't even finish his sentence for coughing and groaning. The doctor arrives, and Victoria and Claire run down Cole's symptoms as the doctor examines him. The doctor declares that Cole's lungs don't sound good. They'll need to get him to the hospital. Claire and Victoria are disturbed to learn it might be pneumonia. As the car is pulled around, Cole argues with Victoria, who wants to go to the hospital with him. Claire urges her father to listen to the doctor so he can get better. I love you, Cole says. I love you too, Claire. He's the luckiest man in the world. Kyle signs a deal with the devil, At the ranch, Victor answers his phone and says, "Send him in." Kyle enters and admits he's pleasantly surprised to have received an invitation. Victor warns him not to be so pleased until he's heard his response to his proposal. Kyle tells him he'll do anything to make Claire happy. Victor says he's willing to agree to his contract. Kyle's surprised. He expected bad news. Victor says the only bad news will be when he hurts his granddaughter. Kyle says it won't happen. Victor holds up a contract and says if he hurts Claire, he'll pay him $5 million and leave town. "I'm impressed," Victor says, "that you're willing to make that kind of commitment. Maybe I've been wrong about you all along." Kyle wants to send the contract by his guy. Victor guesses he wants to make sure there's an out. Kyle suddenly decides that he doesn't need to have it looked over. He asks why Victor hates him so much. Is it because he's Jack's son or some other reason? He wants to know because he loves Claire, but everything he says and does isn't good enough for him. Victor grunts. "Let's get going." So Kyle signs the contract. Victor reminds him if he breaks Claire's heart, he'll have to abide by it. They shake hands and Kyle exits. Lily and Nate talk Dumas at the park. Nate tells Amy she can stay with him until she finds a new place to ship her things to. Audra would really miss her if she was gone. Amy agrees to the plan, and she and Audra decide to go for lunch. Lily appears and they tell her Amy's moving to town. Lily's thrilled. Audra and Amy leave, and Nate asks Lily what she makes of Dumas' invitation. What does she think he's up to? Lily admits it threw her for a loop. Nate thinks it sounds sketchy. Lily wants to go to find out what he's up to. Nate thinks he's getting in her head, but understands. He'll hold down the fort. Lily's surprised he and Audra weren't invited. But she's not upset about Audra, though. Nate thinks she'll one day see what he does. Lily's not so sure. Nate asks her to get a selfie with Dumas. He's dying to know who he is. Lily murmurs, "You and everybody else." Nate fishes to find out if she's met anyone yet. Grinning, she insists nothing has happened with her and Damien. Swerving, Lily says Damien's breaking the news to Holden this morning. He's wondering if there's a spot for him at Winters. Nate doesn't trust the guy. Lily points out he'd be doing it for Damien, and she feels responsible for getting them fired. Nate marvels that Dumas suddenly seems a hand in everything going on in this town. Lily says that's why they're going to France. Nate fears it could be a wild goose chase, but Lily asserts that failure isn't an option. Audra interrupted Amy and Audra arrive at the club as Holden walks out on Damien. Audra steps away to take a call from Victor, who wants to see her now. She tries to reschedule, but he barks, "I said now." She tells Amy and Damien she has to go and trots out. Amy and Damien discuss Holden. Damien sees his point, and he feels responsible for the mess. He explains he's more like a brother than a friend. Holden was the only person he completely trusted. Amy is here for her son now. Damien tells her he'll have to handle this on his own. She still wants to help. Damien suggests they figure out a peace offering for Holden. Amy thinks the answer is in his heart. Audra sees an opportunity. Audra shows up at the ranch and asks about the urgency of Victor's summons. Victor warns her when he asks for a meeting, she needs to just say yes. He complains that she hasn't done a damn thing to convince his granddaughter that Kyle's a bad guy. She says these things take time. Victor warns something better happen before he gets back from France. Audra muses about the top players in town getting invited to Dumas's summer home. She thinks getting Kyle out of town for a bit would help her plan. She asks Victor to make sure she and Kyle get invited to France. She'll take care of the rest. Kyle arrives at the tack house, and Claire tells him her dad has gone to the hospital. The doctor thinks it might be pneumonia. They may have to admit him. Kyle's sure that Cole's a strong guy and will pull through just fine. They embrace. Claire tells Kyle how much she loves her dad. She can't fix his suffering or give him back the time he lost with her. Kyle assures her she's a great daughter now. Claire asks how his meeting went with Victor. He says it was fine. She just needs to focus on her dad. A compromising position Audra. finds Holden on the coffeehouse patio, and notes his message sounded desperate. He appreciates her showing up and asks her to have a seat. She reluctantly does so. What's so urgent? Holden reminds her she said she'd be his friend. I could really use one right now. Audra knows he was fired and sympathizes. Holden complains that Damien used him to get what he wanted there and then threw him away like trash. He didn't know who to call, but Audra's the only person who's ever gotten to know him. You can leave if you want. Audra reaches across the table and takes his hand. At the ranch, Victor looks at the Dumas invitation, thinks, and then throws it down on the table with disdain. Genoa City is never short on high-stakes drama, but this week, The Young and the Restless ups the ante as two explosive storylines collide. One centers on a life-or-death emergency that sends Cole Howard to the hospital, setting off emotional shockwaves through the Newman family. The other, a corporate betrayal that's about to shift the power balance in ways no one saw coming, especially as Kyle Abbott makes a fateful decision and signs on the dotted line with Victor Newman. What do these stories have in common? Everything. Because, in true soap opera fashion, no move is ever isolated, no signature ever without strings, and no emergency ever just about health. As Cole's life hangs in the balance, Kyle's allegiance shift could alter the family business, relationships, and even the future of Newman Enterprises forever. Let's take a deep dive into these dramatic developments, explore the motivations, driving each player, and unpack the dangerous ripple effects headed straight for Genoa City. Act 1. Cole Howard's Unraveling Health. Cole Howard has always had a complicated relationship with the Newmans. Once Victoria's great love, later a man of mystery and lingering pain, his reappearance in town brought with it both nostalgia and new questions, especially surrounding the return of Claire Grace and the weighty history connected to her supposed death and resurrection. But now, the focus is on something far more immediate and far more terrifying. After days of feeling off, experiencing dizzy spells and chest tightness, Cole collapses in the Newman Ranch study while talking with Victor and Nikki. What starts as a moment of concern quickly escalates into full-blown panic when Cole loses consciousness. Nikki screams for help. Victor, rarely rattled, calls for an ambulance with the urgency of a man who knows how fragile life can be. The ambulance rushes Cole to Memorial Hospital, and suddenly, what seemed like a storyline about emotional closure takes a sharp turn toward survival. Act 2. Family flashpoints and buried guilt, as Cole lies unconscious in a hospital bed. The Newman family finds itself spiraling. Victoria arrives first, her expression masking sheer terror. Despite their years apart, Cole remains someone she once loved, and perhaps still loves, in some buried corner of her heart. The thought of losing him hits harder than she expected. Claire, meanwhile, is emotionally devastated. Her connection to Cole as her biological father was still evolving, but now the possibility of losing him before they can truly bond is almost unbearable. Her whispered apologies at his bedside are poignant and haunting. Even Victor and Nikki, typically stoic, are shaken. Victor especially struggles with the reality that for all his wealth and power, he cannot control life and death. As Nikki clutches his hand, she knows he's blaming himself, again, for dragging his family through decades of chaos. Cole's condition is still a mystery. Is it a heart condition, a long-ignored illness, or something more sinister? Act 3. The medical mystery. Deepen's doctors scramble to diagnose Cole's collapse. Preliminary tests are inconclusive, but there's murmuring of a rare neurological condition, possibly stress-induced, or even linked to an environmental toxin. As Genoa City's medical team runs more tests, questions begin to swirl. Could Cole have been poisoned? It seems wild, but in this town, anything is possible. Victor begins pushing for a private toxicology screen. He doesn't trust coincidences, and he knows better than anyone that enemies lie in wait. Could someone have targeted Cole to destabilize the Newman family? While viewers are left hanging, a new theory emerges. What if Cole had known something? About Claire or the past that made him a target? Act 4. Meanwhile, at Jabot, Kyle makes his move. While the Newmans are focused on Cole's condition, over at Jabot, the stakes are just as high, though the battleground is corporate, not medical. Kyle. Abbott has been feeling increasingly alienated by his father Jack, by the family business, and by his own lack of direction. After years of power plays, broken marriages, and shifting loyalties, Kyle is craving relevance, and Victor Newman sees the opening. For weeks, Victor has been wooing Kyle with a proposition. Leave Jabot, sign with Newman Enterprises, and help him gain strategic control over Jabot. The offer is lucrative, but more than that, it's personal. Kyle is furious with Jack for prioritizing Diane over everything. He resents Billy's interference. And he's tired of being treated like a pawn when he knows he's a king. So when Victor slides the contract across the table, Kyle doesn't hesitate. He signs. And with that signature, the game changes. Act 5. A dangerous alliance. Victor doesn't do favors. He creates leverage. And Kyle is smart enough to know that working with the mustache comes with strings. But in his hunger to reclaim agency and respect, Kyle overlooks the warning signs. Victor wants Jabot. He's wanted it for decades. And Kyle, whether he realizes it or not, is now his inside man. When Jack learns of Kyle's betrayal, the fallout will be brutal. Not just because it's corporate espionage, but because it's his own son doing the damage. Diane, ever the manipulator, might see it as a power play. Billy will see it as confirmation that Kyle was never loyal to begin with. And Ashley, she'll probably use it as ammunition in her ongoing battle with Jack for the soul of the company. Act 6. Intersecting paths. Here's where the storylines begin to intertwine. Victor, though focused on Cole's recovery, has now set in motion a plan that could unravel both Jabot and Newman Enterprises. Because what if Claire finds out Kyle signed with her grandfather? What if Victoria discovers Victor's actions while her old flame fights for his life? These secrets won't stay buried for long, and when the truth explodes, it will impact both families. Kyle may have signed a contract, but he might have also signed away his family's legacy. And Victor, in trying to regain control, may have finally gone one step too far. Act 7. Claire's emotional breaking point back at the hospital. Claire remains at Cole's side. The scenes are some of the most emotionally charged of the year. Claire reads aloud from a book he once gave her. She tells him about her childhood, about the hope she felt when she realized he might be her father. Tears fall silently as she confesses her greatest fear, that she's cursed, doomed to bring pain to everyone she loves. It's powerful stuff, and viewers can see that if Cole doesn't make it, it may push Claire over the edge. But then, a flicker. Cole's fingers twitch. His monitors beep with more rhythm. He's coming back. Act 8. Kyle's guilt and temptation. Back at Newman Enterprises, Kyle's high from signing. The deal fades quickly. He begins to realize the